Hello, everybody. Hope all of you guys are doing well. I'm doing well, just so you know. And so, it's so interesting that we both had a conversation before this and we've already met. Um, and I was really, into just the fact, and I was so happy that there's somebody that believes into a lot what I believe into when it comes to education, because I feel like just if you do not like a subject, it is, I mean, because of the teacher, most of the time it is. That's how it works for me. So that's an example on something that we agree on. And today we have, um, that is how I would pronounce her name. You can always correct me, okay? Beau McCoy, right?
Yep.
Oh
Yep,
yeah,
that's right.
got that one. Because it's recording, I can always pronounce the fact that I pronounce your name right. So please introduce yourself, and then I think we can get beginning.
Sure, yeah. So my name is Beau McCoy, and I'm the CEO and founder of SOLcademy. We are simple online learning, a very easy to use platform for educational content, sharing, and collaboration.
Amazing. And that was faster than most people. So I'm like, oh my God, the guy's got things together. So let's start from the top. Where were you born, and how was your early childhood?
Yeah, absolutely. So I was born in Long Island, New York, just outside of New York City, and I lived in a very integrated area, both racially and socioeconomically. So where I grew up, there were people from all different backgrounds from all over the world, and there were basically different classes, right? So there were poorer and there were richer and middle class, all in the same town. So I had this incredible childhood where I thought that everyone had access to the same opportunity, regardless of the color of your skin or your gender or how much money that you had, because that was what I was exposed to growing up in Long Island, New York. I went on to an Ivy League school, which is one of the best schools in the United States, one of the top 10 universities in the United States. And I got to see that actually it's not true, that depending on the color of your skin and where you're from and how much money your parents have, you may have a very different access to opportunity in your life. And that's when I realized that creating equity is so important to me, because it shouldn't matter what you look like or what your family situation is. You should be able to achieve your potential. And education is really the way to achieve that potential. That's how I fell in love with education, and why it's really my mission to bring high quality education to everyone in the world, regardless of their background.
Amazing. So my goal is actually a bit vaguer than that, and that is to empower everybody around the world. Because when I saw people around me, unfortunately, I saw people. It was only because of perhaps the class that I was from, or because of what my dad did and the opportunities that he got, he availed. That now I am here, and I'm able to get so many opportunities that people that are way more talented than me, that have way more potential, they cannot do that because of many things. There's many factors that contribute to that. So how was your education experience? I mean, how is it going? I mean, I suppose that it was probably somehow not the best, that actually may have triggered, because it happens most of the time with people that I interview, and I don't want to generalize here, that people did not have the best experiences, and then they want to work on what's happening in education, and then they do not want those experiences for other kids. So how was it for you?
Absolutely. And it's just like we talked about, my education experience directly reflected the teacher that I had at that time. Ultimately, it's all about the interpersonal dynamic and the relationship that you've got with that teacher. Because what we are is emotional beings. It's all about how someone makes you feel. If they make you feel good, you're going to want to be in that class. If they make you feel not great about yourself, then you're not going to want to be there. So I had this really awesome fourth grade teacher. Her name is Miss Odette Wills. It was her second year of teaching, so she was brand new. She was like 23 years old, and I was in her class, and it was the most wonderful experience. And I'll never forget that she had us do this project called All About Me, where you had to answer these questions about your background and your personality and your tastes. And I was only 9 years old, and it was really fun. It was the first time I can remember ever like looking at myself and trying to understand myself. And then once we did that, she said, okay, now who do you want to be in the future? And how can we connect who you are today to who you're going to be in the future? So that was a really wonderful year and a wonderful experience that I had. So that part of my education experience was great. Some of the years weren't as great. I was fortunate to go to a small private school here in the US that really paid attention to each of its students. But of course, you know, some classes were better than others. So, you know, it was really a mixed bag. And when I went to university, I went to this very elite university. I had a very bad experience, quite honestly, because it was just a reflection of how much inequity exists in the United States. And I'm sure in other countries around the world, where not all, but most of the people who got there were coming from a position of very much of privilege. And going to an Ivy League institution provides you wonderful opportunities to go work for investment banks or top law firms, or become a doctor, an esteemed doctor, and get into great medical schools. But how do you get there? It really depends on how much money your parents have. And I really didn't agree with that. And as soon as I recognized that fact, it became really hard for me to engage. So I guess the relationship was not just with the teacher, but also with the institution itself. So I had a very varied educational system, experience in the educational system, but that's why, you know, for me, it's all about creating equity and opportunity. And that here in 2021, we have so much technology in everything in our lives except for the educational system. So that doesn't really make a lot of sense. We should be leveraging technology and education the same way that we leverage it for social media and shopping on, you know, Amazon and everything else. And that's what I'm here to help accomplish.
Yeah, I mean, that's amazing. Though, you know, with your university experience, that was my, you know, I say middle school, maybe that's the right thing, but that was my schooling experience, because I was very privileged. My
Mm-hmm.
parents, they really focused and they prioritized, you know, my education more than many things. So they were like, yes, okay, so she's going to the school. So this is a private school that we're talking about. It is huge in the country. So you talk to it and they're like, oh my God, we want, if your children aren't in it, you mention any child that you know that's in it. So basically it's quite elite and everything. So I went to that school and immediately I get hit by the fact that all people that are here, they're just because their parents have big bucks, which was like not the best thing to know, because
Mm-hmm.
the entire time I was thinking, you know, not all people are here on scholarships. Maybe some were, but people did work hard enough, but maybe their parents just didn't have the money for that. I mean, it is sad just to know that. And then at times it comes to more facts like race and everything, but that I have not personally witnessed. But with the money factor, I have to, because I mean, very few people in Pakistan have the money to pay that much. And it's sad that other children don't have that, because, you know, it is all comes down, if we would want to contribute something nice to the education system, we can do it in our personal capacities. But if we really want to step up the game, then it's probably going to the public schools or the government schools, because that's where a lot of the population studies. Not everybody has the money for private schools. So and when I went to the first government school I ever saw, I was, you know, for 2 days I was literally taken aback,
Yeah.
because I was like, really? And then turns out my dad studied in the same school. So I'm like, this is, I mean, our day it was way worse than this. You're seeing like the cleaned version of this school, and I'm like, whoa, that just hit me hard. For me, that was just too much to handle, and it was, I feel, very bad. It's not just the premise, but it's also the syllabus. That way it hasn't changed. And I mean, my dad had the same books as my cousin has, and that's just that. And
Mm-hmm.
it works on memorization. So tell me more about SOLcademy. Tell me all about it.
Well, this is the thing, right? So SOLcademy, it stands for Simple Online Learning. That's the first thing. Technology in the classroom is way too complicated and it slows everything down. I had a teacher tell me that she's using 52 different apps in her classroom, and she was bragging about that. And I asked her, I was like, do you think you're an expert? And I was just, honestly, like, do you think you're an expert in all 52? She's like, well, no, I don't think so, but I use them. like, okay, can we bring that down to 5 and really get a lot of utilization out of those? That's what it's all about, because there's a learning curve with every technology. You don't just start out at an expert level. And if you're working with 180 students, like most high school teachers are, how many of your students are ever achieving mastery in any of those programs? They're just too complicated. So we make everything really, really simple. Just like we said before, what's the most important thing, whether you like a class or not? The relationship that you have with that teacher. And if you're stuck in a class and you don't like the teacher, it's gonna be a really hard year. Why is that today in 2021? It shouldn't be. Why can't we find really amazing teachers all over the world and get them to record themselves on video, just like we are now 15,000 kilometers apart or more, but we're having this conversation because we like each other's personalities. And that's the relationship that we recreate millions of times on SOLcademy, where a really great teacher that might be in Islamabad, Pakistan, can teach math to a really interested student who lives in Las Vegas, Nevada, like myself, right? Many, many kilometers away, but the learning happens because of that interpersonal dynamic. So if you're a great teacher, then we invite you to record your lessons and upload them to SOLcademy. You can also share any classroom resources that you have, because there are other teachers and school leaders, and most importantly, parents who want to learn how you teach, and you can teach the teachers. And we also have a marketplace where you can actually make money for selling those classroom resources. So much time goes into building lesson plans and assessments and activities and all these workshops and all these things that teachers create, and they use them once and then they go away. They're very ephemeral. On SOLcademy, they can live on forever, because that same lesson plan that you've created can be reused by hundreds of thousands or millions of teachers and parents all over the world. And when they see you on camera, they're going to be so motivated by your incredible instruction that they're going to want to buy those lesson plans. And that marketplace is launching today, launching today, March 26th, when we're recording. And by the time anyone sees this, it will already be live. So come on, like, we can fix education together immediately. We don't have to wait for the government to wake up and say, yeah, we're going to spend, billions and billions of dollars to fix this, and it's going to take 12 years. Like, no, it starts with one amazing teacher making one great lesson, and then seeing that millions and millions of students watching that awesome lesson. And that's what SOLcademy is. And I should spell it. It's SOLcademy.com.
Amazing. So, I've got a lot of questions. First one, which isn't the most important question, but I really have to ask this. You really live in Las Vegas, Nevada?
I do, yes, I do. And it's a wonderful, wonderful place to live, especially if you like the outdoors, which I do.
Yeah, I mean, just the inner loving movie TV shows me is going so many characters in so many movies. Oh my God, Las Vegas is amazing. So coming back to the more important question. So first, now, so that means basically, if, like, giving an example, in a specific grade with a specific teacher, I did not quite resonate or whatever with the learning style. So our learning styles, my learning style, her teaching style, we did not get along with that one. And because I had nowhere to go, I was like, YouTube, duh. But then I saw that you really have to organize so many things. You've got to get so many things right, but there was no platform for it. There's no platform that I thought that I would want to go to. I did try, I think, some other academy, which everybody knows of, but I don't want to take any names here. So, but it didn't work out for me either. But this is amazing that you can, from a lot of videos, a lot of teachers from around the world, you can pick anyone and just start watching their lessons on a specific topic or a specific subject. That is just amazing. And about the resource thing, is there like a backstory to it? Because if there is, it is amazing. I can just tell that.
Yeah, well, quite honestly, you hit on the real problem, is that YouTube is great, but it has two fundamental reasons why it will never work in education. Number one, it's not structured for for education. Education is sequential. When you learn one thing, then you need to learn the next and the next and the next. And YouTube is just not ordered and structured that way. So you spend so much time looking for videos to watch when you should be just watching videos. And so that's how we keep everything neatly organized on SOLcademy, so that you just stay in that learning flow and move as efficiently through the process as possible. The second thing is YouTube is an entertainment vehicle. So you might start going there for an educational purpose, but then you're going to fall into whatever whatever you think is funny or fun or cool, because your brain has basically been trained to associate entertainment with YouTube, and that will never be broken. That's why it cannot work for educational purposes. And sorry, repeat the question that you asked.
That I will. Just a second. I just wanted to comment on your answer. So that is so true. It's the time where you are on YouTube. I mean, I've got, Pakistani parents. They can never believe that I'm studying on YouTube. They can never believe that. And they're always like, I bet you're watching your favorite TV show, and they cannot be wrong about it. It is that it just happens in the heart, it happens in the mind that you want to watch it if you're there on the platform. Yeah. But on SOLcademy, you do not find Keeping Up with the Kardashians, correct?
No, exactly. It's all educational content. And that is, students, young people like yourself, when it's time to work and when it's time to play. You're mature. You can make that decision. When you go to YouTube, it's time to play. And when you come to SOLcademy, it's time to learn. And you're responsible enough that you'll spend your time wisely going back and forth between the two if we empower you and trust you to do so. We have to stop treating children like they aren't in control of their own lives. They are. They know what is right and what is wrong and how they should be spending their time, and if they're spending too much time being distracted and playing. But shame on us if we're not putting the content that they want to watch in their hands so they will make the choice to do something educational. That's where we need to change things. And that's what SOLcademy is here to say. We've got lots of great content that you're going to like, and you can choose to watch it, not, hey, sit down and watch this educational video for the next 30 minutes. No one likes to be dictated to and forced into doing anything. We need choice, we need options and creativity, and that's what we're here to bring.
Yeah, amazing. So my question was basically, is that how did you come up with this marketplace with resources and teachers that are basically somehow selling and also putting up their lesson plan or resources or whatever they have developed themselves and not gotten off of Google?
Yeah, absolutely. So in speaking with hundreds of teachers while we were coming up and building the platform for SOLcademy, they kept asking us, hey, can I attach a lesson plan to this? Because what they do is they talk to something, but they also have a lesson plan. So they might have other resources for the student to read, or they might have a quiz for them to take, or they might have an activity that is supposed to go along when you're watching the video. So they said, we really need to attach these, lesson plans to the videos. And I said, well, we can definitely do that because we're already sharing the video file. It's not too complicated to share like a PowerPoint presentation or an Excel sheet or something like that. So we added it. And then I spoke with them more and understood, Fatima, Raheen, do you know they spend between 15 to 20 hours every week coming up with lesson plans? If every teacher is doing that. So if you took 1 million teachers, it's 15 million hours every single week, right? There's 52 weeks in a year. So you're talking about incredible amount of time. What if we could take all of that and reduce it by 99%, because the lesson plans will already be created and someone can just collaborate and use it. Now they have all that time back, 15 hours per week, to develop relationships with their students, right? To be creative, to, connect activities from one thing to the next. That's what it's all about. We have a very finite amount of time, and how can we use that time more efficiently? And for teachers, it means greatly reducing the time that they spend looking for content and also creating those lesson plans. I'm going to give teachers back 20 to 25 hours of their work week every single week by giving them great videos to show to their students and lesson plans that are already created by other amazing teachers like them.
That is just amazing. And I just want to add something. It is that I feel like, because at some point I did also wonder, why can't you just Google that? It is because you don't even know who made that. You've got no idea. Interestingly, I remember, I'm not going to name the teacher because she's probably watching. So there's a teacher of mine that had a, 2 to 3 websites that she'd pick off the resources and the material that she needed for quizzes. Turns out the entire I broke the code for that, and the entire class found it out how and what pattern she uses for the questions in the quizzes. So we all were able to find out that. That is what happens with that. With SOLcademy, the marketplace is for the teachers. I'm pretty sure the students cannot get in and cheat there. Just
No, they can't. But that's the thing, you still have to put in some effort, right?
Yes.
The resources that you're going to consume are more like a guide or an outline, but only you know your students, right? So you still have to customize it for your audience, because no 2 classes are exactly all right. They have different students, with different backgrounds and different families and different things going on in their lives, and you've got to make it relevant to them. So the teacher is going to have to take it that last, meter, right? They're going to have to customize everything, but they could get you very, very far. That's why I said we'll reduce it by 99%, not 100%.
Yeah, I mean that's true, because come on, it's what questions maybe from, because the syllabus is also differ at times. So maybe that certain question or, things like that, they're out of syllabus. Maybe you have to add something or substitute something with that. So that, of course, will always happen. Now, I just wanted to go over like what you were talking about before, is that giving children the power. It is only that I have been given this power of interviewing people or connecting with people, and even actually getting to choose where I study, what I'm studying currently right now. I mean, that was just amazing. And I'm studying online, and a lot of people, because I'm studying on a website, I've got a lot of people these days that ask me, how can you study on a website? And it's like, only if you, and it is only if my mom trusts me, if it's my dad that's trusting me, that I will be able to do this. It's if it is just because they're watching over, oh my God, you're not opening any other tabs. That's not what you're doing. I feel like that sense of being trusted is gone then. And that concentration that comes right from the heart, it just goes away. So what do you have to say about that?
Yeah, there's a range that everyone falls in. From someone like you're in the 20% of students who never want to set foot in a classroom again because you're very self-motivated and you see a lot of wasted time in going to the classroom setting when you can just do it on your own and move on to your other activities. And I think there's about 20% of students like that. There's another 20% of students who would not do well in a completely remote environment and really crave the structure and organization and interpersonal dynamic of a traditional classroom setting, and they never want to study online again. So you got 20 over here and 20 over here, and both of those are fine. There's no wrong or right, it's just different things for different people. And the other people, 60% of them roughly, are in the middle. Some days they wake up and they like, I cannot imagine getting dressed and having to go to school right now. Other days they wake up and say, I cannot wait to go see all my friends and I have so many questions for my teachers. And so they go back and forth. And so we need, as an educational system, to provide those options for all students, for our fully remote students, for our fully in-person students, and then for the blended ones, the ones who are going to do a mixture of both. And that's the thing. This is the awakening that I'm hoping is happening in 2021 for educational leaders all over the world. Please hear this. Flexibility. Flexibility is the key to providing a great educational experience for every learner. Give them the options. This younger generation is so self-driven. It's amazing. They know what they want and they know how to get it. So if you're telling them what to do, you're only standing in their way. Instead of standing in their way, step back and trust them. They will do the right thing. And if they're not doing the right thing, it's going to be very obvious, because after a week, you'll see that their grades have started to go down, down, down. And then you pull them aside and say, excuse me, I gave you all this trust and you were supposed to, do your schoolwork, but it's clearly not happening. So what do we need to do to get you to do your schoolwork, right? And that's the conversation that happens. Give them enough space to be themselves, to explore, to drive, to consume the content they want and learn what they want at their own pace. know that it will be okay because they have been doing this since they were 2 years old, right? Children nowadays have been using YouTube and Netflix and Amazon and all these streaming services since they're 2, and they're in control. It's only when they go to school that the control is taken away from them. So that's what we've got to understand. The world has changed, and they've grown up in the changed world. They're not from the, monolithic structure that I grew up in. That's not how the world is today, when you could only watch a television program at a certain time on a certain day. And that was it. That's not the world these kids know. The world these kids know is I press a button, I watch whatever I want to watch. And that school has to evolve to accommodate the way the rest of society has already changed. And that's how we meet our students where they are.
That is so true. I mean, I totally agree with that. And it is, I feel like a lot of friends, or I feel like some people that are part of the 60%, it's just that they don't have the choice of either. And every time they might even want to think about it, they're just told, you have to do it. You have to go to school, then you have to go to college, and then you have to, get a job, and then you have to whatever. I mean, that just literally just follows, but you have to. And I feel like a lot of times, and I think I just cracked it, but because I remember when I was turning 13, everybody's like, oh my God, here comes the tantrums, and here comes the rebellion or whatever. So I feel like it's only because when you're a teenager, you feel a bit more power. Oh my God, I'm now a teenager, and you can actually stand up against, no, I don't want to do that. You can boss me around, and all that teenage drama that happens. But I feel like we should be given, and then at times we are very underestimated as young people. But now I feel like that too is changing, because I mean, I don't know enough about YouTube that my younger brother does. I mean, he is amazing at it. Today, something, I was doing something, I was busy. I'm like, okay, I'll put on, your thing later. And then he just, signed off from Netflix, went into YouTube and put on his favorite song with the voice search. And I'm like, God, on your age, I was watching what my mom wanted me to watch. That was amazing. So, I mean, I feel like things are really changing right now, though still technology and education, it seems to me, with the people that I know, it just doesn't go together. I don't know why. I mean, I think it totally does, because I study on a website. That makes total sense to me, but not to many other people. But isn't it sad, the things that we learn in, the ICT or IT or whatever it is called in your country class, where the teachers excel in so many things, and then they make groups of you, um, but they never tell you how to really just, work on it, even educationally. They never tell you that you can make your notes on Word. They're like, no, but you have to have a notebook here. They never tell you how to use Excel in real life. I mean, literally, we're sorting out employee lists. Will I be doing that in the future? Perhaps, but not for everybody, because we're generalizing, because we're saying that everybody is the same person. And that's where flexibility again comes in, because, well, there's so many things that I'm saying right now. And it is because we just have generalized and made an average of the students. Well, thanks to the genius in the education business at this point, because it's all into a business. I mean, I really appreciate your work, because the first time that we met, you never mentioned that you're in the business of education, like a lot of people do, because you have dedicated your life and a lot of your time to this, and you never just consider that as, just like a business. It is an education business. It's an education system or a sector or whatever, that is a respectable term to, give it. So what do you have to say about so many things that I said?
Yeah, well, so many things. So the first thing is, there is no educational system, because it's an educational journey for each individual, right? And that's the thing. You can't look at statistics and say, oh, these kinds of people aren't doing well. No, it comes down to every individual. And when you stop thinking in that way, in this group way, and start thinking about personalization, all the results are going to turn the way that you want them to. At the end of the day, students are not students. Students are human beings. Human beings have feelings and needs and desires and imagination and creativity and passion. and fun and friends, and all these factors are making up the human, and education is just one small part of that. If I never went to school ever in my life, I don't go to school now. I don't, it's not part of my life. I don't miss it, but it was, and things come and go in your life. So that's the awakening that I'm trying to bring, is trying to teach every human the things that they want to learn. Some things that are super important that I wish I had learned and that I hope students will learn now is, number one, self-identity, right? Going back to that all about me thing that I did in Miss Wills. Who are you? How do you understand? Why do you feel angry? Why do you feel upset? Why do you feel happy? Why do you feel joyous? You should understand all these emotions, number one. Number two is community. How do I relate with other human beings? And how do I understand them and feel empathetic? How do I understand the feelings that they're having so that we can get along better? Because the key to life is just getting along with people. No one creates their own opportunities. All opportunities are afforded to us by other people and the relationships that they have with us, right? You want to create this amazing documentary series. Well, someone's got to produce it, like you said, right? And that's the second thing. And then the third thing is, and the most important thing is, now that I understand myself and understand other people, where do I want to go in this life? And teach me the skills that I need to get there. Personal finance is very important. How to study is very important. How to do research is very important. All these sorts of skills that aren't traditionally taught in a textbook is what you really need to be great in life and to be, contributing to our society. And so it comes back to the question of, why do we go to school? If we go to school to pump our head full of information, to get used to working from 8 o'clock in the morning to 5 o'clock at night, to only, regurgitate what people tell us, then I think our school system is doing a great job. But if we're going to school to build better human beings who are going to contribute to society in a positive way, realize their potential, and then ultimately pay forward everything that they've had, then I think we're falling very short. And so we just need to reframe the why behind the school system. And then all of a sudden, when we start doing that, the results will change immediately, because we'll start treating people like individuals and amazing humans that they are, meeting all of their needs as a human. And then all the test scores and all, standards and all this stuff, they'll do just fine on that, because they'll have the most important thing, which is the belief in themselves that they can accomplish anything. And that's why I think we go to school.
Yeah. I mean, for me, I really understood a lot of it. And thank you so much that you gave a message along it that I didn't have to ask. I mean, that's how I want my future interviewees to be. Just, I don't have to ask questions. You just say it and then let me say what I want to say. You're an example. Let me tell you that. Thank you so much for coming today. It was just amazing. I just wanted to ask you one little question, but then to stay back after I stop recording. So SOLcademy has its own website right now. Right now. So, and what exactly is a website? Or maybe you can send me a link afterwards so I can attach it with the interview. That will be nice.
Absolutely.
If anybody would want to go in and sign up and sign in or whatever.
So anyone who's ready to go on an individual journey in education, whether you're a teacher, a parent, student, or school leader, can go to SOLcademy.com. So it's SOLcademy.com. And the SOL stands for Simple Online Learning. We promise to be the easiest technology that you'll use today. And it just happens to be inside of education. And if you have any questions or you need help at all, you can reach us on all social platforms at SOLcademy, at the @ SOLcademy, or you can send an email to hello@solcademy.com, and we will be happy to help you and go on this journey with you.
Amazing. Thank you so much for coming here. Thank you so much, everybody, for watching. And yeah, have fun. And I'll probably come back with him more times. And we'll have fun together. Thank you so much.